Nick, Liverpool beating Arsenal at Anfield, 3-1. What are your thoughts on the game?
My thoughts are it's an improvement from last season, obviously. We actually had it, I thought we had a go. I was impressed that Pepe got a start.
Yeah.
He looked lively, he looks sprightly. If he'd taken his chance, obviously it could have been a different game.
Yeah.
But generally, I thought I was actually quite pleased with that performance because I thought it showed that we had a go. We weren't prepared to be defensive. Just one of those. I actually think just got to take it on the chin and go again. I don't read too much into that result, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, defensively, I personally saw improvements.
I mean, I'm a big fan of David Luiz. Actually, I think he's been a good signing.
Yeah.
I thought what he did was a very rookie mistake. You should know with VAR, you're going to get caught out for that.
Yeah.
Very blatant. The manager, you know, especially after half time, it pretty much kills the game for us. And it's one of those. Like I said, I think we can come again. I don't see it as a bad performance. I think there was a lot in midfield for me to make me think we were quite competitive.
In midfield?
I actually thought we were quite competitive in midfield.
I think overall, did you not think that overall the midfield and the whole team were very good at playing under pressure? Like they often clear the ball away, only in defence at certain points, but often they wanted to pass the ball, pass their way out of trouble, which was in a way impressive, but in a way a little bit frustrating.
I take that point. I think, to be fair, there were times where we could have played it a little bit more simple. We could have just like got, you know, everyone a bit more compact. We could have gone back to basics, but I think we probably thought, you know, you look at the way that, I didn't see the Super Cup, but I think Liverpool, you play in the start of the season, you've got a pretty good chance. It's almost like a free hit at this stage in the season. So I thought we did well to play the way we did. It was a bit gun-ho at times, and we could have probably reined it in, but I was impressed with that performance actually. And on another day, we could have got spanked 5-0 or 5-1 like last season. So it did show improvement.
So before the game started, did you expect Arsenal to lose this game?
I actually thought we would set up to draw. I thought we were going to set up like a sort of basically one up top, 4-5-1 kind of.
In a way, that's how it kind of turned out.
It sort of was a bit like that.
And if Pepe took his chances, he had a few chances in the first half.
He did, but you can't blame it to a young player adapting to a new league. First start, a lot of pressure away from home. It would have been a lot easier to have brought him into a home game, I think. But you know, it's fair to Emery to bring him in. I think, you know, European champions, why not start him in this game?
I mean, he did well.
I thought he did really well.
Regarding pressure, he doesn't show that he's under pressure. I think he's one of the coolest players I've ever seen. He holds the ball well, but that one-on-one chance he had, and he kind of just passed it to the goalie. I mean,
it did look like a pass, and I admit, you know, you've got to take those chances, but you cannot fault his performance today. He could have buried that, but otherwise, you know, he ran the channels, he picked up where he could, he was trying to get other players into play. I thought he played really well, actually.
Yeah. Who else did you think played well for Arsenal?
Well, this is the problem. I think that, you know, it is few and far between. I didn't think Luiz had a terrible game, but obviously he's going to be remembered for the pullback.
Did we see both sides of David Luiz in this game? Because he was very confident defending, but he does have those moments of madness where you think, why is he doing that?
Well, for me, he's there for a mentor for other players, and I think, you know, his best years are obviously behind him. I think we probably both know that. But as I've said to you, I think he's a player who's capable of getting you, hopefully, you know, 8 to 10 goals a season, and he is capable of at least shoring up the back when he's, you know, when his mind isn't on the Brazilian kind of gun-ho mentality. But unfortunately, away from home, Liverpool, big game. But I don't blame him for the defeat. I just think, generally, it was one of those there that, you know, we're playing a top team. top of their game.
Yeah.
We had a go, and perhaps the way that Norwich played in the first game, we should have really just reined it in a little bit more. We shouldn't have been a bit too gun-ho.
In that sense, is it the manager's fault? Because you could see from the first half, he had a game plan. It was working a little bit, and then we conceded towards the end of the first half. Second half, we continued with that game plan, conceded a second goal, and there were no changes afterwards. Is he wrong for that?
I'm never one to blame a manager, and I still think Emery is new to the job. You know, even in the second season. So I will never fault the manager. I think the players have got to be capable. You know, they've got to take accountability for how they perform.
You never blame the manager.
No. In the second season, I think he's still new. He's still raw to the Premier League, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, the players have been there long enough to know that at some points you've got to just rein it in. You've got to think like, you know, it's got to be a back to the wall job rather than, you know, go all out a little bit more.
But that comes with experience.
Does come with experience.
And when you look at most of the team, the starting lineup, excluding Aubameyang and Socrates and Luis, they're very young. So therefore, don't you think the manager should have that input when you put out a younger team?
Possibly. Yeah. All I can say is that he's an experienced manager. I'm sure whatever he said at half-time was basically to rein it. I'm sure he would have said, let's keep it compact for the first 15-20 minutes. You can't condone what happened with Luis. Just had a moment of madness. And in my opinion, that's where the game was lost.